congratulations, Julian. Any nerves expressed during this are purely because I'm sitting with the Public Servant of the Year. Very
Too
impressed
kind.
and so well earned.
Too kind, too kind.
So again, my name is Laurie Sellick Tauberg. I work at Affirm, which is a buy now, pay later company trying to reinvent, not trying, doing it, reinventing the financial services industry to create honest ways for consumers to pay. And prior to that, I actually shared an employer with Julian at the CFPB, where I worked in the Office of Supervision Policy, focused a lot on credit reporting agencies and other fun things. And while I've left federal service, I haven't left the fun disclaimers, like Mark mentioned when he was up here. So if you're anything like me, you enjoy a good legal disclaimer. So anything I share today are my opinions and mine alone, and do not necessarily reflect the views of Affirm Inc. Now let's get to the real man of the hour. Honored to share the stage with you, Julian. I know you're a senior payment specialist at the Federal Reserve Financial Services, and it's our second time on stage together, but our first time in real life. So you're really a man that needs no introduction, but I'm going to ask you if you could introduce yourself anyhow.
Thank you, Laurie. You're too kind. Greetings, everyone. Happy to be here. It's nice to share the stage with you as well, an actual stage, not a 2-inch square. So, like Laurie, I also enjoy a good disclaimer. Anything I say today are my views, not the views of the Federal Reserve Financial Services or the board. So with that, again, my name is Julian Alcazar. I'm a senior payment specialist for Federal Reserve Financial Services. So what does that actually mean? I view my role like a utility player, where I work in Mark's office, writing reports to actually helping prep for events like this, making sure that he gets what he needs at any given time, and also that you all get what you need from us.
Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to get into it and ask you some things about public service and how we can innovate and work together. So first off, for some tangible advice, for those considering public service, what aspects of the work do you find the most rewarding?
You know, I think it's being fluent in acronyms. It's quite a useful thing to have. But in all seriousness, though, it's the ability to know and have tangible impact on everyday consumers' life. Payments is integrated in every little thing that we do, and to know that I'm a part of a team that's actually helping influence the direction of our payments today is meaningful. Laurie, so we both worked at this scrappy little agency. Some of you all know it. It's been mentioned a few times today, the CFPB. What do you think? What aspects from the CFPB did you bring over to Affirm?
Yeah, so other than, having my legal memo writing ripped to shreds and, oh, you mean what's tangibly beneficial? So I got to unlearn that when I joined Affirm and learned how to write in business speak, but it was fun while it lasted, being able to be a good legal writer. The things I benefited the most from when moving into the private sector were really we were at the Bureau at a time when it really did feel like a startup. So moving in a fast-paced environment where we were all kind of joined together, rooting for the same mission to create a better financial experience for consumers in trade and commerce. And then being able to see consumer harm and problems up front really gave me, I think, a lot of empathy and understanding towards our consumers. And it was beneficial because when I joined Affirm, it was a startup. So really having that startup, scrappy, we're all in this for the mission, culture was super helpful in moving over. One culture shock, though, was when I moved from the CFPB, I was very disappointed to see that when I interviewed people, they didn't always have a favorite reg. And if you worked at the CFPB, you always have a favorite reg. What's yours, Julian, to throw you a curveball?
Reggie.
Nice. I'm more of a Reg V kind of gal, but I see the appeal of Reggie. So moving into forward looking, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions about how private and public sectors intersect?
Something that I often hear is that it feels like the private sector at times thinks that it's some random regulator somewhere that dreamt up a regulation and it's going to be put into place the very next day. And quite frankly, it doesn't work that way. Everything that prudential regulators do, it's a full contact sport, and it's all done in the public eye. So requests for information, requests for comment, they're all done for you all to actually provide your input. And that's great because it actually informs the policy decisions. And as someone that has gone through it once or twice already, reading every single comment letter, capturing it, and making sure that the policy decision at the end of the day is actually reflected with the voice of each person that wrote a comment letter, it makes the policy better. And so we need to hear from you. It actually makes everything we do better, and it helps us move the industry forward.
I'm so glad to hear you consider our comments. Shout out to Brian Epling on my team at Affirm, who we work tirelessly to get those in, so appreciate it.
Laurie, I'll flip the question to you. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions between private and public?
Yeah, so I think a misconception that I myself had when I left the federal government was really that like private sector was the enemy or like selling out. And even, I joined Affirm, it's honest finance. And other than providing you your wonderful Wi-Fi today, if you look at the back of your name tag, you'll see Affirm. Use this for BNPL. So other than that, we really are focused on offering financial products that make sense for consumers. And my first 2 years there, I'd kind of say, oh, I'm at an honest finance company, like putting it in quotes as though that doesn't exist. But it really does, and I was very ill-informed on that. And like, honestly, the interests are aligned, which is why we've always been such big advocates of the federal regulators. As you know, Max, our CEO, was on the Consumer Advisory Board. And our first GC came directly from the CFPB. So I was a skeptic, and joining and seeing that this company was invested in the Bureau and seemed to care was a big reason that I came. And then now it's really fun to be on this side. And also, like, I get a lot of the energy you do in perpetuating change for consumers that can benefit them. You asked for an example. We participated in the CFPB's Office of Innovation, had a tech sprint a few years ago and we chose to reinvent adverse action notices. So we all got together and kind of competed in teams. Maybe some other folks here attended. And we came up with something really cool to solve the problem of how do we provide these like 1970s disclosures on a mobile phone that's this big instead of, handing them over at a bank. So long tangent, but I feel very passionately about working together for something better with our partners in the public sector.
Awesome. Laurie, we're running short on time, and I know I got this public service award. It's great. Thank you again, Phil. Thank you, everyone in the room. But Laurie, I really want the folks in the room to know the benefits of bridging that gap between your public service career and now that you're at Affirm. How can we get more folks in the room? We heard earlier today Yelena speak about we need a new generation of folks in government, in public sector, helping influence policy, helping inform policy. So if you were in charge of our recruiting efforts, what would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. I think looking for people that have a passion for the industry and are really excited about how it works and focused on innovative new ways to do things. And realizing, like we discussed in our prep call, like the regulators aren't the boogeyman. Halloween just passed, but they really aren't, at least not all of the time. Can't use that broadly. But I think, really focusing on people really excited to innovate and who are mission motivated.
Absolutely. Thank you again, everyone. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.